trivia. Are we ready? According to Jewish tradition, King Mordecai was a descendant of what king? What Jewish king? It's not according to Jewish tradition. Not David, good guess. Saul, that is correct. What spice does Mordecai's name mean? And I don't even know what spices are, but I just know what it is, and it's hard to pronounce. It's M-Y-R-R-H. That's just like it's incorrectly spelled, by the way, in English. How many times is the Megillah traditionally read on Purim? Twice. And you have to do it like this, go horns. The evening and the morning. What day is the Megillah read in Jerusalem? Today is the 14th of Adar. What day do you read it in Jerusalem? On the 15th. Good guess. The 15th. On a walled city, you read it on the next day. So an ancient walled city like Jerusalem or maybe Jericho. In a leap year, which month is Purim held on? Adar 1 or Adar 2? That's when we add a whole month. It is held on Adar 2, so it moves a whole month. How many sons did Haman have? Very close. 10. How many of them had sons of their own? None, because they're all hanged with him. Did Esther have a son? Yes, she did. His name was Darius, which is, coincidentally enough, the name of a very famous king of Persia, so this may be theoretical. How many days was Ahasuerus's first party at the beginning they mentioned? How many days was his party? And let me tell you, this man was almost as impressive as David. 180 days straight. 180 days for a party. That shows you what kind of king he is. And then afterwards, everybody who had royal blood got another 7 days. Okay. Was Ahasuerus of royal blood? The answer is yes, probably. We don't know who he is. There's some different thoughts as to which king he was. What holiday was Haman hanged? Good guess. It is Passover. Passover. He was chosen to be hanged on Purim, but probably hung later on Passover. So, what is Queen Esther's name in Hebrew? Hadassah it is. Very good. This is a very interesting one because we don't realize this. Mordecai was the first person in history we know of to be called this. And it is a very well-known word today. Mensch is a good guess. The very first person ever to be called a Jew. The word had not been used yet. We believe it's from the 6th century, but that is possibly the first person in recorded history to be called a Jew. Obviously not the first Jew, just the first person to be called not a Hebrew or Israelite or something of that nature. So Ahasuerus searched for 4 years. How many women do we believe he looked at to be queen? And some of this is Jewish tradition, some of it is actually in the text. How many contestants? That's enough for the beauty pageants. How many contestants? It was 1,400. This is all theoretical. Vashti was considered to be the great-granddaughter of Nebuchadnezzar. That's from Jewish tradition. Many believe that Esther, according to Jewish tradition, was this type of eater in the book of Esther. Vegetarian, so she could keep the kosher rules. So, what does Purim mean? Lot, good. When were the first observances of Purim believed to have begun? Although there's not proof of this, what century? I'll give you a hint, it's BCE. Some believe as early as the 5th century BCE, only shortly after it happened. Now, according to Jewish tradition, some believe that Mordechai was as old as 70, what? Yeah. 79. He could have been as old as 79. The day before Purim, you're supposed to fast. Who is that in honor of? Esther it is. And this will be giving it away, there's only one book in the entire Bible, the Tanakh, that does not have the name of God in it. What book is it? The book of Esther, the only one without the name of God. Very good. Some of those were really hard. The Jew one is a really hard one. Now, there's a debate as to why God is not mentioned. So the question is, why would it not be mentioned if God is needed? And there's a lot of people who believe different things. We don't know why, but some think that God is inherently there, that sometimes God wants us to save ourselves, and sometimes we just don't know. My answer is, I know the answer, but I'm not allowed to share it with any of you. All right, so let's read a little bit from the Megillah Esther. But first, we're going to play Haman Says. I always like playing this. So my daughter actually was really good. I taught her this. So Haman Says, if you don't know how to play, then you've probably been on a rock for the last 75 years. Haman Says, stand up. See, it's very simple. Okay. If you feel capable of standing up. Haman Says, sit down. All right, very good. Haman Says, loan me 50% of your bat mitzvah money, Eden. No, okay. Haman Says, stand up. Sit down. All right. Haman Says, raise your hands in the air. Put your hands down. Raise your hands in the air. Haman Says, put your hands down. Haman Says, touch your nose with your hands. Haman Says, touch your head with your hands. Touch your nose with both hands. Touch your head with both hands. Haman Says, touch your nose with both fingers. Haman Says, touch your head with both fingers. Haman Says, touch your head with both fingers. Head. Haman Says, touch your head with both fingers. Haman Says, touch this desk. Just kidding. Haman Says, put your hands like this. Haman Says, put your hands on your head. Haman Says, put your hands out. Put your hands on your head. Haman Says, put your hands out. Haman Says, put your hands out. All right, good try, guys. All right, some of you did a good job. All right, so I'm going to invite somebody who'd like to volunteer to come on up to read English. Who wants to read the English translations? I need at least 2 or 3 people. Seth, Joel, and they are edited, so it's not the full book. We don't read the full book. We're just going to read a little bit of it so that people get home by 7:30 tonight. All right. So I wanted to see how many volunteers, so you guys can divide it up however you want. Huh? Oh, the groggers should be here. The groggers are not here. Where did the groggers go? Let me go see where
Uh-oh. It's a Shonda. So do you want to...
Thanks for dressing up, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, look at my socks.
Okay, that sort of counts.
Yeah. I don't have unfortunately, I don't have a closet full of costumes
If you
yet.
don't,
I know.
it's because you're not married to her.
Yeah.
Or you would.
Yeah.
Where did she go?
I don't know. She's... Hey.
We didn't think it was a BYO.
Yeah, no. That's a good point.
All right.
All right, as she's passing them out, we'll invite Joel, Carol, and Seth to read it in whatever voices you want.
So. Yeah, I'll just I'll read up to the the last full paragraph on page 1. Okay. You pick up what Haman went to the king? Sure. All right. Here we go. Oh, give everybody a few minutes till we get the groggers turned out. Yeah. While they're passing them out, when I was a kid, they told us every time you mention Haman's name, you make the noise. They didn't say whenever they mention Mordecai, you're supposed to cheer. So I didn't learn that till I was much older. And then the other thing for all you adults, one of the traditions is that you're supposed to get so drunk in Purim that you can't tell the difference between when they say Haman and Mordecai. So there you go. Everybody ready? All right, here we go. Story of Purim. In the 3rd year of his reign, the king of Persia, Ahasuerus, decided to have a feast. It was on the 7th day of these festivities that the king summoned his queen Vashti to appear before him and demonstrate her beauty for the king's officials. Vashti refused to appear. Incensed, the king decided to find a new wife, so a contest was initiated among all the eligible maidens in the kingdom. One of those was Esther, a Jewish girl. Esther, who was an orphan, had been raised by Mordecai, her uncle, and after her parents' death, Mordecai instructed Esther. There we go. Mordecai instructed Esther not to divulge her Jewishness. Each day, Mordecai walked by the court and asked after his niece. Esther impressed all who met her, including the king. When King Ahasuerus saw Esther, he was very pleased. He set the royal crown on her head, and she became his wife and queen. Then the king gave a big party to celebrate. Meanwhile, Mordecai, while sitting near the palace gate, overheard a plot to assassinate the king. He immediately told Esther, who reported to the king in the name of Mordecai. Years later, the king elevated Haman to the position of chief advisor. Haman was a wicked and vain man who expected everyone to bow down to him. Mordecai refused to bow because Jews are to bow only before God. Not content to just punish Mordecai, Haman wanted to destroy the entire Jewish people in Persia. He cast lots, or Purim, to determine the day of their deaths.
Haman went to the king, slandered the Jews, and convinced the king to go along with his plan to kill the Jews. Upon learning of the plot, Mordecai tore his clothes, wore sackcloth and ashes, and walked through the city crying loudly. When Esther heard of Mordecai's display, she dispatched a messenger to discover what was troubling her relative. Mordecai recounted the details of the evil decree and asked Esther to ask the king to save the Jews of the country. Esther agreed to appear before the king unannounced, even though anyone who came to the king uninvited risked losing their life. 3 days later, Esther entered the king's inner court dressed in her most royal garb. Esther announced that she wanted to speak to the king. When King Ahasuerus saw her, he granted her an audience and asked, "What can I do for you, my dear queen? I will give you whatever you ask, up to half of my kingdom." Esther replied that she wished to invite the king and Haman to a banquet on that day. So the king and Haman came and enjoyed a delicious meal served by Esther. "Now, dear queen, tell me what it is I can do for you," asked King Ahasuerus. Esther answered she wanted first to invite the king and Haman to return for another banquet the following night. Haman left the banquet consumed with self-importance and pride, but these feelings were turned to anger when he saw Mordecai sitting at the gate of the king's palace and paying Haman no mind. That night, the king discovered that Mordecai had never been rewarded for saving him from the assassination plot of 2 servants. When Haman appeared in the court, the king decided that his trusted servant should determine Mordecai's compensation. When the king asked Haman what should be done for the man the king wishes to reward, Haman thought that the king Ahasuerus intended to reward him. So he answered that the honoree should be dressed in royal clothing and ride upon the royal horse.
He's going to finish the last paragraph. And he led through the city, and be led, that's sentence fragment, and be led through the city streets by an official proclaiming, "This is what is done to the man the king wishes to honor." Ahasuerus agreed and instructed Haman to do what had been declared for Mordecai. Reluctantly, Haman followed the king's orders and dressed Mordecai in royal clothing, and Haman led Mordecai around the city on a fine horse. King Ahasuerus and Haman came to another fine banquet a day later, and the king asked Esther what he could do for her. "Now tell me, my queen, what is your request?" King Ahasuerus said. "What can I do? What can I give to you?" "Dear king," said Esther, "if you are pleased with me, I beg you to spare my life and also spare the lives of my people. If we were to be sold as slaves, I would not have bothered you. But it seems unfair that we are to be put to death." "Who dares do this?" demanded the king. "It is this cruel Haman," said Esther, pointing to her enemy. She explained that she was Jewish and that her people had been ordered to be killed because of Haman's lies. Ahasuerus, consumed with anger, ordered that Haman be hanged, and then the king elevated Mordecai to a position of great influence. Thus, the Jews of the kingdom were saved, and ever since, Jews have observed the holiday of Purim. The end.
Give him a hand, everybody. I realize we sang one of the songs down there without the mic for recording. So, Eden, do you know "We Are the Jews, We Are the World"? Who wants to come out and help me sing "We Are the World"? Nobody knows "We Are the World." All right, we'll sing it on number 3, page 3. There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when Shushan must come together as one. There are people crying, it's time to lend a hand to liberty, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day by day that somehow Haman will soon make a change. We are all part of God's great big family, and Hamantations are good with any meal. Together, we are the Jews. We are the Hebrews. We are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start singing. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true we make a better day, just you and me. It's going to be so good when we have a cantor to sing this next. Next year we'll return to the big party and let the cantor do all the singing. What do we think about that? All right, now let's go ahead and take out the Megillah Esther. So what we're going to do is I'll invite anybody who would like to come up here to see it as we read it. You're welcome to come on up. Or nobody, depending on what you want. Or everybody stay at your seats and don't move. Perfect. All right, good. So we're doing something that shouldn't be done. This is a very old Megillah Esther. It can't be dated as the oldest one in America, but it is one of the oldest. It can't be dated because they thought one of the sections had been changed. So it is a very old one. This is the only time we take it out is once a year. It's unlike the Torah scroll we would take out all the time.
It's the one about Darth Vader, that's it.
And I'll invite, this is about Darth Vader. I'm going to invite you to hold that part. And you guys see pictures. It's not the Sabbath. Although that wouldn't make a difference for us. Let me get-
Isn't it
It is
beautiful?
beautiful. It could be as old as 650 years.
Do you have to roll this again over and over like the Torah has to be read?
You don't really need to do it as much for this because it's really short. It's short. So for the Torah, it has to be done. Like our Torah scrolls need to. But for our ancient Torah scrolls upstairs, we don't roll them very often because they're not something. Somebody tore one of the Torah scrolls a few years ago. Yeah, I was screaming. I actually saw that guy the other day and was screaming at him when I was shaving this morning. All right, wait, I had the page numbers here. I had it on the right page and I took it out. I'll figure it out. All right, so for Purim, we say 3 brachot before we read. One of them is the Shechianu, because obviously it's the first time we're doing this, but that's the third one we say. So the first one is Vitzivanu al Mikra Megillah. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Kiddushanu B'mitzvotav Vitzivanu al Mikra Megillah. The second one is a little harder, but we've done it before because it's very similar to what we do on Hanukkah. It's the exact same one. So for those of you, Sha'asa Nisim Lavotenu by Amim, you guys know this one, but we'll add Emote. Well, we won't add that one because that may confuse people. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Sha'asa Nisim Lavotenu by Amim Hahem Bazman Hazeh. And lastly, the Shechianu, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Shechianu V'kiyamanu V'higianu Lazman Hazeh. Blessed are you, eternal God, ruler of the universe, who creates us, sustains us, and brings us times of great joy, like reading from the Megillat Esther. And yes, I left my lightsaber upstairs to use as the pointer again, so I'll use this. All right, so we're going to read from chapter 1 and then chapter 3, the beginning. Find that one. Go there, sir. There it is. I got it. All right, let's go to the beginning again. Sorry. This way, right here. All right, so we start off with the introduction to the days of the party and the king, known as Ahasuerus. We do not say Haman in the first paragraph. That's why I chose the first. Vayibimei Ahasuerus shu Ahasuerus hamelech mehodu ve'ad kush sheva v'asrim ma'eh medina b'miyamim hahem keshivat hamelech Ahasuerus al kiseh melachto asher b'shushan habira b'shnat shalosh L'melech ko asami shte lechol sarab v'avadav chayil parasu midei ha-prat mim v'usarei ha-medinat lefanav v'harato et asar kevod melachto v'et yakar tiferet gedoloto yamim rabim shmonim umea yom uvimalot hayamim ha'eleh asa ha-melech kol ha'am Aninsaim, b'shushan habira lebigdol ve'ad katon mishteh shivat yamim v'chatzar ginat bitan hamelech hur karpas v'tekele achuz v'chevle boots v'argaman al gilgel kesev amodei shesh matot zahav kesev al ritzefet Behem, no, Retzpat, Behem, Veshesh, Vedod, Vesacharta, Vehashkot, Bechol Zahav, Bekelim, Mekelim, Shonim, Vayaim, Malachot Rav, Keyad Hamelech, Vehishtiha, Kedat Ein, Anas Ki Ken, Yesod, Melech Al Kol Rav, Beto, Lasot, Keratzon, Ish, Veish. Now the second part will have Haman in it. Good job, you did it right. So this is the section where we see Mordecai and Haman, and we hear about what's going to happen there. Achar devrim ha'ele gadol hamelach Hashverosh et Hamin ben habidinat ha'agagei v'yinat sehu v'yasam et kiso ma'al kol ha'ashira asher oto v'chol abdei hamelach asher b'sa'ar hamelach. Okay. Hamelech karim umishtachavim lahaman. Tiken siva lo hamelech Mordechai lo yikra lo yishtachaveh v'yomru avdei hamelech asher b'sha'ar hamelech leMordechai madua ata over et mitzvot hamelech v'yi be'amram elav yom v'yom v'lo yashama alehem v'yigda'u lahaman ilrod hamdaru divrei Mordechai ki hagid laham asher hu Yehudei, that's where he says Jew. V'yar Haman ki ein Mordechai kara umishtachaveh lo v'yimaleh Haman kama v'yivaz be'inav lishloach yad b'Mordechai livdo ki higidu lo et am Mordechai v'yivakesh Haman lishmin et kol haYehudim. There we go, the word Yehudim again, Jew. Asher b'chol melachot Hashverosh I Mordechai bechodesh harishon hu chodesh hanisan b'shnat shatayim esar lemelech Hashverosh hifil pur hu hagorel lifnei Haman miyom leyom umechad chodesh lechodesh shanim asar hu chodesh adar. All right, so we got to say Haman a couple of times, but you didn't shake it for the last one. Haman. Okay, good. Okay. So now, Lori will do some impressions of famous people. So what we're going to do now is you just name any famous person in history, and Lori will do an impression of that person.
Okay, I gotta go.
We're going to start with Cleopatra.
I'm leaving.
So that is the reading, and we're going to sing one or two more songs, and we will conclude with that. Anybody want to choose one of the songs to sing? Aiden, which one would you like? All right, from the very beginning, would you like to come help us? Oh, there's the Obladi. Come on, I need some help with this. If you know this and you have a good voice. And look excited, too. Ready? Okay, make sure you're using the mic so they can hear you, because they don't want to hear me online. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ahasuerus is the king in Shushan town.
Hey,
wait, let's start. I was off completely. Go again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ahasuerus is the king in Shushan town. Haman, his advisor, is so mean. Mordecai's the Jewish guy who won't bow down. First there was Vashti, now it's Esther as the queen. Megillah, Megillah, Megillah. It's all Megillah. Megillah, Megillah, Megillah.
It's all in the Megillah.
Oh, that's better. Esther was selected to be Persia's queen. Didn't tell the king she was a Jew. Mordecai said she must be the go-between and tell the truth, or else the Jews will all be through. Megillah, Megillah, Megillah. It's all in the Megillah. Again, that was a good one. Megillah, Megillah, Megillah. It's all in the Megillah. Ahasuerus the king couldn't sleep at all one night. When he heard about how Mordecai saved his life, he started to see the light. Mordecai is riding on the king's white horse. Haman has to lead him and he's mad. Esther tells the king and saves the Jews, of course, in Haman's history, so everybody's glad. Megillah, 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 it's all in the Megillah. Megillah, 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 it's all in the Megillah. All right, give her a hand. I think if I just let her do it, it would have been a lot better. Anybody want to do one more that you guys know or like? Anyone? We just did a Princess Bride one, so we added it to the back. If anybody's seen a Princess Bride, you may not know there were words to this song that comes in the Princess Bride. Come, my love. Let's see if I can remember it now. Come, my love, I'll tell you. How's it go? I've just been singing it for like 2 days. How does the tune for the Princess Bride go? Oh my goodness! So I'm gonna see if I can remember. The Book of Esther is a storybook. I've been practicing this for 2 days to lead this one, and I completely lost it. All right, we'll come back to "Come, I'll tell you a tale," and their love story. Anybody remember it? Would you pull it up? Yeah, pull it up on your phone. I just need the first. Oh, I got it. Come, my love, I'll tell you a tale of a boy and girl and their love story. Last one. And how he loved her oh so much, and all the charms she did possess. Now this did happen once upon a time, when things were very complex. How they worshiped the God of ours, and fought for own true rights against the evil Haman. The Book of Esther's a storybook story, but it's as real as the beliefs we feel. The Book of Esther's a storybook story, but it's as real as the beliefs we feel. I get a feeling only Seth and I know this one, so we'll go do another one. All right, one more, one that everybody knows. She's going to get here fast. Last year I did a karaoke, and it was much better. I thought this year I'd try without karaoke. How about If I Were a Rich King? Number 6. Eden, you want to come up and help me? All right, ready? Dear God, you made many poor kings. I realize, of course, there's no shame to be a poor king, but it's no great honor either. So what would have been so terrible if I had a small fortune? Ready? If I were a rich king, Scooby-Dooby-Dooby-Dooby-Dooby-Dooby-Dooby-Dooby-Doo. All day long I'd biddy-biddy-bum if I were a wealthy king. Oh, I'd never be a stand-in, only a star. If I were very, very rich, idle king, I'd star in great musicals all by the dozen right in our Shushan Theater. A fine wardrobe with fancy shoes on my feet. There would be one long solo in the beginning and one even longer at the end. And one even longer than just for show. All right, how was that, guys? That was from our Purim spiel. Our Purim spiel Broadway Purim a few years ago. All right, I feel like I was the only one doing that one there, too. Anyone want to do one more? I feel like that one didn't work either. All right, let's try. There's no Purim like our Purim. Everybody seems to know that one. Page 6. How many of you guys know this one? There's no Purim like our Purim, no Purim I know. Everything about it is appealing, everything the rabbi will allow. Nowhere could you get that happy feeling when on the bema with a bow. There's no Purim like our Purim, our Haman is so low. Even with a Homantashen that is old, It's still worth its weight in gold. Still you wouldn't try to eat the mold. Let's go on with the show. All right, good try, Robert. All right, thank you guys. No matter how much I practice, it just doesn't work when I get here in front of other people. Huh? The original, I don't know, but I don't think that was written for, was that written for us or for, I don't know if that's an online one or if we wrote that one. Which you did? Was that Irving Berlin? All right, thank you guys. Wanted to just have a short little one today. Next year we will be having a big Purim party as we get out of COVID. We'll go back to that. But also next year, don't forget that our spiel is for everybody. We had a huge showing for our spiel yesterday, and it was amazing. Now, this Saturday, we will be having a guest speaker, Dr. Bruce Cohen, who's going to speak on what was the pandemic that hit Savannah in 1733. March 22nd is, of course, the famous Passover Irish whiskey Seder before Passover. It's for men only. Men's Seder is already sold out almost, so please get your tickets right away. We're continuing this tradition that has become a famous part of our congregation, so make sure to learn how to use Uber or have somebody drop you off. Any other announcements, Carol? The Women of Reformed Judaism and our local chapter, the Women of Mickve Israel, doing an incredible amount of things. Thank you also for the delicious homemade hamantashen they made. If you didn't have any, please take some. Also, please sign up for the Seder. Remember, we have 2 Seders. We're going to have first and second. They do fill up. Every year they have booked up, so please sign up as soon as they go online. That's going to be Wednesday, I think, April 5th and Thursday, April 6th. So everybody's a member is guaranteed to be able to go to one. You may not get the exact same date unless you sign up early, so make sure to do that. All right, guys, thank you so much. Please feel free to go get some more hamantashen and mingle. Chag Sameach, everyone, and enjoy Purim. Oh, I forgot to announce Thursday night I will be doing comedy for the Jewish, the Jewish Cultural Festival at Front Porch. Thursday, I think I'm doing comedy. They're having me doing something. I thought I was doing it before Front Porch, but I'm doing comedy before something else like a poetry reading. I don't know what they're doing.